Well, gotta tell you, you get into doing sticks from different perspectives and different angles, things like that, you're gonna get winded. Your body's being stretched in all kinds of ways, and you're having to compensate in some odd angles down below you, around your back. Your lower back's getting developed, over your shoulders, the long stretch of the arms. Now I'm doing my left arm now, and I alternate from my left to my right periodically, but I take the full motions of the left arm and I try to stretch them. I'm going to go as low as I can go. I want to be able to get a good continuing line of action going. I don't want to stretch that all the way around myself, up over my head. Stretch it around, work it around. In fact, you want to really get the body involved from different perspectives and different angles. Over the shoulder, going low. And stretch it. This is the activity field, if you want to think of it that way. More like the developmental field. I think about it like polishing the extremities of my reach. Perhaps I'm polishing myself from the extremities of my reach. It's perhaps more accurate. And what you've done with the left hand in terms of this process, do it also with the right hand, and then work your way through the other combinations of both hands together at once, and then one in each hand or doubles. For me, this is a stretching around process exercise, wake up, warm up, integrator. My body always gets tight. I'm sure certainly the adults and even everyone else at one time or another will find their bodies getting tight. And this is a good way to loosen those long muscles up. Yeah, feels great, actually. Once you've done it once or twice, and once you've been there in the morning, it's easier to go back later on, I must say. Like that. And that's the integrated process of bringing those motions together and bringing those physical movements together. And if I went ahead and put both tips together like that, I could start that process of getting both hands together in a duel. So kind of a precursor to that. Of course, this has its own peculiarities as well. Cross sticks or X sticks, if you thought of it that way. Well, I'm starting to get winded, and you heard me starting to breathe. Brings up this whole thing about breathing and doing sticks. And there are several breathing techniques that I'm familiar with that can be employed that will allow you to gain greater exercise value, as well as some mental developmental components as well. It oxygenates the blood on the one hand and creates a cathartic kind of a process on the emotions on the other hand because of the effort it takes to create it. The byproducts, of course, is a quickened metabolic rate, and it seems to sustain for good periods of time. You don't have to do it as often, is what I'm trying to say. Certainly, if you did this kind of a pump of breathing activity once every 10 days, once every couple of weeks, even once a month, you would still be maintaining a higher level of metabolic rate than you would otherwise. So, let me give you a little bit more about that. The breathing technique, I had friends who used to do yoga, and I'd read about yoga, and while I've never really practiced yoga myself, I had tried a few of the motions and things like that with friends. One of the things that I noticed was that it was all about breathing. It was all about the deep, full, complete breathing. And the process of getting that breathing under control had an emotional component. And that emotional component, of course, dealt with emotional self-control and the capacity to take a stressing situation and find a way to get yourself leveled off, get your emotions leveled off, and get your body leveled off. So I thought, well, I'd like to combine that with the sticks. The sticks is a little quicker activity-wise than yoga is, of course. So it started having comparisons to one of the other Chinese thing called Tai Chi, which is motion related, about circles and flow, and finding that inner balance as a result of that. So in combining those things together, I developed my approach. I call it the choo-choo approach. And what the choo-choo approach is, exactly as it seems. You start breathing like you would hear that choo-choo of a train going up a mountain or something like that. And then as it gains speed, you start gaining speed with it. 20 minutes of this kind of exercise is an extremely high energizing practice. And again, if you did it once every 10 days or once every month, you'd probably be doing it enough. Your body simply won't allow you to do that as often as you might think you would want. Of course, on the other hand, were you to practice that on a regular basis, there's some nice byproducts that come from that as well. So let me show you the technique. Starts out like this. Every time I grab the stick and push against it, what I do is I make a little blowing sound of air, like that. That's the choo-choo, of course. So let me show you how it grows. Here we go. We start out with our process here. Once I get into it, I think I'll get a little winded, so I'm going to be able to talk quite as much. Here we go, here we go. So, the process of reaching for it causes you to fill your lungs, and then as you push it, you're expelling from your lungs. As a result of that, you get that intimate connection between breathing and action. As it starts to develop as a practice, the bloodstream starts to oxygenate, as well as reflexive feedback would be a way I would try to put that. As a result of this reflexive thing going on, your mind gets into a higher state of attentiveness. And when you put that down, that attentiveness can be transferred to other things, giving you a hyper attentiveness then. Ironically, normally when you get hyperly attentive, you're also stressed out, but because this dynamic exercise has gotten your body loosened up and really flowing and emotionally in a real stable flow pattern, you find yourself far more able to focus, to concentrate, and to get a result out of that than you might be being hyperly pushed by being overly stressed or overly hyped up. It's like speeding up and slowing down at the same time. You speed up mentally, but you slow down physically and emotionally. It's a pretty good thing. I'll do some more for you to show you how it works. Here we go. I clear my throat. Yeah, I guess you get the idea. Boy, did I rev up. Boy!